News Radio 700 WLW.
I'll be the first to tell you that my expertise in AI is not great. I'm learning on the go like everybody else. Employers, they've long been touting AI. It's going to make your job easier. Cutting out the workload, freeing up time for other more engaging pursuits. Yeah, well, bag that. Upwork is a polling service, a study service. They do deep dives into things like this. And while the vast majority of C-suite leaders believe AI will increase their company's overall productivity, 77% of the people actually doing the work, the employees, 77% say that AI will only add to their workload. Part of that is because they're still adapting to the tech and they're not being properly trained. 47% in this survey, 47% of employees say they have no idea how they're supposed to achieve the productivity gains their bosses expect. Yes, the boss expects this. Well, wait a minute now. You haven't showed, how does it work? About 71%, same survey, 71% of employees say they're burned out, 65% struggling to meet their employers' productivity demands. Look, AI is coming, whether you want to or not. You can dig your heels in, shake your fist at the clouds and say, I'm never going to use that. But in actuality, if you don't, you'll fall behind, and your company knows that because it will fall behind. Here's somebody else that knows. Matt Rosen. I've had Matt on the show before. He's the CEO and founder of Aleta. It's a technological consulting firm that's helping automate companies through AI. Well, wait a minute now. Does that mean loss of jobs? AI is going to take jobs away. Let's get the expert opinion from Matt Rosen. As I said, he is the CEO and founder of Aleta. And Matt Rosen, how are you on this glorious Saturday?
I'm doing great, Ken. Thanks for having me back on the show. It's great to talk to you.
77% of employees say AI only adds to their workload and really doesn't help them. This before we get into AI and why it may be that way and maybe won't always be that way, this sounds like classic employer dumps things on employee and says, this is going to make us more productive and it's your job to figure out how. It just sounds like there isn't a lot of education, if you will, about AI going on here. Am I right?
Yeah, I read the study, and that's kind of what I gathered, is you have employees that are being told to do stuff without a whole lot of training. And, if employers are not going to the time to stay up on the trends, develop AI and data literacy training, pick out models that the employees know how to use and understand what they're allowed to use it for and what they're not, and then set clear performance goals, and not just say, hey, we expect you to be more productive. Like, be very specific about it. So at Aleta, one of the core things we do is develop custom software. We've seen our developers about 50% more productive, but we measure that based on their output, the quality output, and their satisfaction. And so they're using the tools to do some really boring stuff and write use cases as well as documentation. That's stuff developers don't want to do. They want to create stuff. So I think used in the right way with the right training developed, AI can be a major productivity tool. But yeah, if you just throw it at someone and say, figure it out, that's not the way anything's going to work, especially when it's a new technology and it changes so quickly.
Yeah, quality. You mentioned three things, two of which stood out: quality of product and employee satisfaction, which is, at an all-time low. 71%, I'm reading in this same study, 71% of full-time staffers burned out, 65% struggling to meet their employer's productivity demands. And there it is again, the employer's productivity demands. So a good company, if it's going to use AI for anything, what does it do at entry point with this particular AI as a tool? What do you do? What if you're an employer?
Yeah, I think you should start by doing an AI opportunity landscape, which is you look at all your workflows and processes across your organization and you determine what's a good fit and what's not. And there's many consulting firms out there that can help with that. We are one of them, by the way. And then you start to trial some of this different technology out. You do proof of value and you look for business cases that can be created. And you can do it in a variety of different areas, everything from, customer service chatbots to, using AI to categorize all your documents. So a lot of different places you can use it, because AI is good at really three things. It's great at automating processes. It's great at creating insights out of vast amounts of data. And it's great at creating starting points. And we believe, AI is best with a human in the loop. So then when it comes to your employees, it's developing training courses. There's a lot of stuff, employees, if they're not getting it from their employer, you can go to Google, you can go to Coursera, you can go to Udemy. Most employer learning management systems should have some course out there. So it's got to be two ways. Employers need to set fair goals that, are measurable and give access to training. And then employees need to embrace this training and do some study on their own. I mean, I started by just opening up ChatGPT and typing things in and learning how to interact with it.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people hear AI and their eyeballs either roll up in the back of their head or they become petrified that it's going to take their job. If you're any good at what you do, chances are it is not going to take your job. And if you're smart, you'll use it to help you get better at your job. But it seems to me that you can get a little overwhelmed going in if you're just working the line at a particular company. So I think, again, training is important, but over and above that, making the employee know how he or she might be better at their job. And it's not something to be afraid of. I think maybe that's a good way to break the ice as well, right?
Yeah, this technology is not going anywhere, and it's going to take time to learn how to adopt. If you think about electricity, took 2 generations. The internet probably took a generation, 20, 25 years. Now, ChatGPT, which really exposed and opened everyone's eyes to how powerful AI can be, was only launched, 18, 20 months ago. I think it's going to take 5 to 10 years for people really to learn how to embrace it. And so, you can't put your head in the sand and ignore it. This isn't something like blockchain where it really didn't have a lot of practical uses. This technology is accessible from any web browser, any smartphone. It is going to become ubiquitous all around us, and it's incumbent to get up to speed on it, learn how to use it, become proficient with it, and see how it can help. I'll give you one real-world example. Is we review everyone in our organization twice a year. We have a very extensive growth framework that we put people through to help them become better professionals. We're very big on growth. And so each employee, we have 350, gets a review written twice a year. It was taking some people anywhere from 6 to 8 hours to write the reviews, and some were better quality than others. We loaded up our framework into AI, and then we loaded up all the peer feedback in, and we're churning out reviews in an hour or 2 hours, saving about 75% of the time. And the reviews are frankly better, but it still requires a human to go gather some of the feedback, review the feedback, make sure it's accurate, not totally trust the AI. We're not going to have the robots giving people the reviews just yet. But 75% productivity gains. I mean, it was massive for us in our last review cycle. So this technology really can help when it's applied and used in a beneficial way.
But AI is only as good as the information it has to work with. So again, this is where maybe there's a little disconnect. It was for me initially. Yeah, AI is great, but what is it based on? Who's putting the information in, and where does the human have to come in to take, if not charge, a little bit of control of where it's all going?
Yeah, data is your differentiator. Garbage in, garbage out. If you don't feed it good information and train it with good information, you will get garbage out. And that's why a lot of our clients are licensing their own versions of OpenAI's model that's, walled away from everything else and training it on their own data. That's one thing that organizations, I think, have been slow out of the gate because they don't know if they upload things, what's the AI going to do with it? And so more and more that's being recognized, and people are starting to do offline models. They're training their own models. And for larger corporations, I think it's going to be an investment that, if you spend the time to train the models and train the people, you're going to get amazing results. I think Cuban came out with some of, there's going to be companies that use AI and everyone doesn't going to be left behind. And I think there's some truth to that statement.
Matt Rosen's our guest, CEO, founder of Aleda. All right. So yeah, maybe Cuban was right. Maybe he was wrong. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a company and you're not using AI at this point, you're going to get left in the dust. There's no question about it. You're going to have a real disadvantage when you're up against a competitor. Doesn't matter what business you're in. Let's just say you're a business here in Cincinnati and you're making, I don't know, bolts that screw on to keep a tire on a car. How does AI help you there?
It would probably help if there's a customer service department, that needs to, interact with customers that are using the bolts. arming them with an AI library of all the different things that could go wrong. You might do it for a new employee onboarding and help them get through the process faster from a training perspective. You might use it to communicate with suppliers as they're getting low on supply, so you can kind of predict inventory levels. I think there's a lot of different ways a bolt supplier in Cincinnati could use it, but a lot of every company is going to be a little bit different. And that's why it's incumbent to take some time and think through globally where could it be used, and then do small proof of concepts. Spend 4 to 6 weeks trying something out, and know that these models are going to change. They're getting updated almost daily sometimes. And you might, for a decent sized company, have someone in charge of AI. Some organizations are doing this concept of a chief AI officer, where they're the ones that stay up to speed on the technology. They're the ones championing it, helping create the training, and looking for these business cases within organizations to see where AI can make a difference. And you've got to be afraid to fail fast and learn and pivot to a new model and try different things, because again, we're still less than 2 years in.
I use bolt screwing on, and there's a million people screaming, "Why did you use that analogy? We have Procter and Gamble in this town and Kroger. Why didn't you use an analogy from there?" But I hope you understood the spirit of the question. I said earlier that people should not be afraid that AI is going to take their job. Yet we keep hearing these stories out there that AI could replace not just blue-collar jobs, but white-collar jobs. In fact, it may cut deep into professions such as law. Is that true? Do you envision that all of a sudden we become a country that has fewer jobs, same number of businesses, but fewer jobs simply because AI, the robots, if you will, are going to take over companies?
Yeah, Ken, with every new technology revolution, everyone's scared of that. It happened with the assembly line. It happened with the computer. It happened with the internet. It's the same with AI. When one job is taken away, new jobs are created. But because AI is primarily computer-based and it's not physical-based, it is the knowledge worker jobs that are going to be impacted. And I have a saying that AI is not coming for your job, but someone using AI is absolutely coming for your job. And so I'm a strong believer that there needs to be a human in the loop. The results of AI needs to be tested, verified, and looked at by a human before it would ever be put into production or key decisions be made on it. But I do believe that if you do the same thing over and over, if you're not a particularly good problem solver, you're not particularly good at your job may be at risk, because jobs are going to change. But, there's been a lot of deployment of these AI customer service agents, and people get frustrated with them. Now, you flip that and you arm a reasonably good customer service agent with AI to help scour all the materials the company has to answer a consumer's problem, they become that much more effective. How many times have you sat on hold with someone who's like, "Oh, I got to call this person, I got to call that person," but they had a great AI at their fingertips and they could help solve your problem. That's what we all really want, is some of our time back.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for those that embrace it and learn it to be much more effective and efficient at what they do. But yet there are going to be some jobs lost. But there's going to be jobs created. Heck, there's going to be people that train models. There's going to be people that try to look for biases. There's going to be this whole world of deep fakes that people can create using AI. So I think there's a whole AI security industry that's going to blossom. I think there's going to be a lot of jobs with AI in the title that don't exist today that will exist 2 years from now, that will be opportunities for people.
Wow. Unbelievable where it's going. Completely different. Forget about 18, 20 months ago. Completely different than what it was 4 or 5 months ago. Matt Rosen, CEO, founder of Aleta. You can get a hold of Matt at Aleta, and that's spelled ALLATA.com. Matt, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Good stuff.
All right. Thanks for having me on the show, Ken. Have a great day.
You bet.